7 July 2021. The President of India, as advised by the Prime Minister, has directed the allocation of portfolios among the following members of the Council of Ministers: Shri Narendra Modi, Prime Minister and also in charge of Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions, Department of Atomic Energy, Department of Space, all important policy issues and all other portfolios not allocated to any minister. Cabinet Ministers: Shri Rajnath Singh, Minister of Defence; Shri Amit Shah, Minister of Home Affairs and Minister of Cooperation; Shri Nitin Jairam Gadkari, Minister of Road Transport and Highways; Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, Minister of Finance and Minister of Corporate Affairs; Shri Narendra Singh Tomar, Minister of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare; Dr. Subrahmanyam Jaishankar, Minister of External Affairs; Shri Arjun Munda, Minister of Tribal Affairs; Shrimati Smriti Zubin Irani, Minister of Women and Child Development; Shri Piyush Goyal, Minister of Commerce and Industry, Minister of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution and Minister of Textiles; Shri Dharmendra Pradhan, Minister of Education and Minister of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship; Shri Prahlad Joshi, Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, Minister of Coal and Minister of Mines; Shri Narayan Tatu Rane, Minister of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises; Shri Sarbanand Sonowal, Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways and Minister of Ayush; Shri Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, Minister of Minority Affairs; Dr. Virendra Kumar, Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment; Shri Giriraj Singh, Minister of Rural Development and Minister of Panchayati Raj; Shri Jyotiraditya M. Sindhya, Minister of Civil Aviation; Shri Ramchandra Prasad Singh, Minister of Steel; Shri Ashwini Vaishnav, Minister of Railways, Minister of Communications and Minister of Electronics and Information Technology; Shri Pashupati Kumar Paras, Minister of Food Processing Industries; Shri Gajendra Singh Shekhawat, Minister of Jal Shakti; Shri Kiren Rijiju, Minister of Law and Justice; Shri Raj Kumar Singh, Minister of Power and Minister of New and Renewable Energy; Shri Hardeep Singh Puri, Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas and Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs; Shri Mansukh Mandavia, Minister of Health and Family Welfare and Minister of Chemicals and Fertilizers; Shri Bhupendra Yadav, Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change and Minister of Labour and Employment; Dr. Mahendra Nath Pandey, Minister of Heavy Industries; Shri Parshottam Rupala, Minister of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying; Shri G. Kishan Reddy, Minister of Culture, Minister of Tourism and Minister of Development of North Eastern Region; Shri Anurag Singh Thakur, Minister of Information and Broadcasting and Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports; Ministers of State Independent Charge: Rao Inderjit Singh, Minister of State Independent Charge of the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation; Minister of State Independent Charge of the Ministry of Learning and Minister of State in the Ministry of Corporate Affairs; Dr. Jitendra Singh, Minister of State Independent Charge of the Ministry of Science and Technology; Minister of State independent charge of the Ministry of Earth Sciences, Minister of State in the Prime Minister's Office, Minister of State in the Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions, Minister of State in the Department of Atomic Energy and Minister of State in the Department of Space. Ministers of State Shri Shripad Yeso Nayak, Minister of State in the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways and Minister of State in the Ministry of Tourism. Shri Phagan Singh Kulaste, Minister of State in the Ministry of Steel and Minister of State in the Ministry of Rural Development. Shri Prahlad Singh Patel, Minister of State in the Ministry of Jal Shakti and Minister of State in the Ministry of Food Processing Industries. Shri Ashwini Kumar Chaube, Minister of State in the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution and Minister of State in the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Shri Arjun Ram Meghwal, Minister of State in the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs and Minister of State in the Ministry of Culture. General Retired V.K. Singh, Minister of State in the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways and Minister of State in the Ministry of Civil Aviation. Shri Krishan Pal, Minister of State in the Ministry of Power and Minister of State in the Ministry of Heavy Industries. Shri Danave Rao Sahib Dada Rao, Minister of State in the Ministry of Railways, Minister of State in the Ministry of Coal and Minister of State in the Ministry of Mines. Shri Ramdas Athawale, Minister of State in the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti, Minister of State in the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution and Minister of State in the Ministry of Rural Development. Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Balyan, Minister of State in the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying. Shri Nityanand Rai, Minister of State in the Ministry of Home Affairs. Shri Pankaj Chaudhary, Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance. Shrimati Anupriya Singh Patel, Minister of State in the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Professor S.P. Singh Baghel, Minister of State in the Ministry of Law and Justice. Shri Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Minister of State in the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship and Minister of State in the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Sushri Shobha Krandlaje, Minister of State in the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. Shri Bhanu Pratap Singh Verma, Minister of State in the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. Srimati Darshana Vikram Jardosh, Minister of State in the Ministry of Textiles and Minister of State in the Ministry of Railways. Shri V. Muralidharan, Minister of State in the Ministry of External Affairs and Minister of State in the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs. Shrimati Meenakshi Lekhi, Minister of State in the Ministry of External Affairs and Minister of State in the Ministry of Culture. Shri Som Prakash, Minister of State in the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Shrimati Renuka Singh Suruta, Minister of State in the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Shri Rameshwar Teli, Minister of State in the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas and Minister of State in the Ministry of Labour and Employment. Shri Kailash Chaudhary, Minister of State in the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Shrimati Annapurna Devi, Minister of State in the Ministry of Education. Shri A. Narayanan Swamy, Minister of State in the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Shri Kaushal Kishore, Minister of State in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs; Shri Ajay Bhatt, Minister of State in the Ministry of Defence and Minister of State in the Ministry of Tourism; Shri B.L. Verma, Minister of State in the Ministry of Development of North Eastern Region and Minister of State in the Ministry of Cooperation; Shri Ajay Kumar, Minister of State in the Ministry of Home Affairs; Shri Devasingh Chauhan, Minister of State in the Ministry of Communications; Shri Bhagwant Khuba, Minister of State in the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy and Minister of State in the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers; Shri Kapil Moreshwar Patil, Minister of State in the Ministry of Panchayati Raj; Sushri Pratima Bhaumik, Minister of State in the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment; Dr. Subhash Sarkar, Minister of State in the Ministry of Education; Dr. Bhagwat Kishan Rao Karad, Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance; Dr. Rajkumar Ranjan Singh, Minister of State in the Ministry of External Affairs and Minister of State in the Ministry of Education; Dr. Bharati Praveen Pawar, Minister of State in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare; Shri Bishweshwar Tudu, Minister of State in the Ministry of Tribal Affairs and Minister of State in the Ministry of Jal Shakti; Shri Shantanu Thakur, Minister of State in the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways; Dr. Munjapara Mahendra Bhai, Minister of State in the Ministry of Women and Child Development and Minister of State in the Ministry of Ayush; Shri John Barla, Minister of State in the Ministry of Minority Affairs; Dr. L. Murugan, Minister of State in the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying and Minister of State in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting; Shri Nisit Pramanik, Minister of State in the Ministry of Home Affairs and Minister of State in the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports। तो ये थी 7 जुलाई 2021 को पुनर्गठित भारत की काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स। हमारे नवोदय 24/7 यूट्यूब चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें, वीडियो को शेयर करें, लाइक करें, कमेंट करें।